On this edition of UND Sports Extra, the UND women's basketball team looks to build off its win at Montana with the start of a 3-game homestand. Travis Brewster is here to recap the weekend. The men's basketball squad also playing strong ball right now. Brian Jones joins later as his team embarked on a road trip to northern Arizona and southern Utah last week. Full highlights are ahead from that week, and he traveled a great distance to come to North Dakota and play baseball. Now former UND standout Jeff Campbell is taking his game to a whole new level. We'll have that story later on. But our opening tip goes to head women's basketball coach Travis Brewster. Coach, good to be back with you again. Thanks. And a week that saw your team win twice and through some rather tested performances. Yeah,
you know, it's unfortunate sometimes that things happen, but you know, when you look at how the team played, they prevailed, they stuck together in adversity, and that was nice to see.
All right, we'll start on Thursday, a game you saw here on Midco Sports Network as your team opened the week against northern Arizona, and a game that was ugly through stretches, and this first play a little indicative of how this game went. Loose ball scooped up by Fallon Freege. She takes it in for the lay-in, and then later Stephanie Smith had a nice game for you defensively and offensively in this one, Coach.
Well, you know, Steph's presence is starting to be seen throughout the league. You know, defensively she's obviously a menace, but offensively she's starting to get her groove a little bit too. And you know, her teammates are getting her the ball in the right spot, and she's starting to catch a lot of those passes, so we got to keep her going with confidence and keep building. 8
points, 5 rebounds, and 4 blocks in this one for Smith. She was doing a little bit of everything. Doing a little bit of everything for the Lumberjacks was Taylor Leyva with the drive and lay-in for 2 here. She had a game-high 23. And then at the second quarter buzzer here, Maya Lloyd giving you some momentum going into halftime, banking in the 3 to give your team a 6-point lead at the break.
Well, you know, we needed the ball to bounce our way a little bit again, and that's because you're working hard. And you know what? She took her time, lined it up, and, you know, nailed it off the glass. You can do it 99 times. We'll take it 99 times.
Would take until the fourth quarter when your team would finally start to separate. Samantha Roskow with the drive, hoop, and foul there. Then some nice passing inside as Smith will finish for 2 here. Your team builds a 7-point lead. Then midway through the fourth quarter, Maya Lloyd, an unquestioned leader on your team, starts to get things grooving for your team.
Yeah, well, she started finding the holes in the zone. Her teammates were getting the ball in those spots. The zone was designed to make our outside people pass it inside. You know, I think offensively outside we've been knocking down shots, but again, they're getting the ball to Maya in the right spot in there, and she's getting great opportunities to score.
A team high 22 points for Lloyd. She finished 9 of 15 from the floor. Then with a minute to go, Roscoe hits the mid-range jumper here to seal it. She had 9 points and 14 rebounds as your team goes on to win 63-56. It was ugly in stretches, but the W is what matters the most, right, Coach?
Well, you take it how you can get it, right? You're not gonna look and go, hey, we're not gonna take it, it's not pretty. You know, and it was a good game. You know, I think there's some emotions going throughout that game. Maya Lloyd's mother was in town. Samantha Roscoe's mother and father were in town from Australia. So, you know, a lot of the families that normally don't get there were being there, and so it was fun to see them play.
Now on Saturday, there was a rare occurrence. Your team was assessed a technical foul before your game against Southern Utah as the backboard shattered before the game was even started. Your reaction to that? What an interesting set of circumstances that your team faced.
Just kind of like, oh crap, you know, it's one of those things that happens. You know, luckily the REA has, you know, backups. You know, we're very fortunate the REA has, you know, a great staff that's ready to work it at any time. You know, and they got over there and they were getting after it, and you know, just jumped in to try to help them out a little bit as well. And you know, it's unfortunate we got technical because we got to basket up, you know, and got it all set and everything. But due to the rules, you need to have an LED light behind the backboard. And so that's where the technical foul came from. Our LED light was above the backboard on top of the shot clock. It's unfortunate, but you know what? We still got to play the game, and you know, credit REA again for getting over there and getting after it and putting it all together. You know, I'm thankful for those guys for what they do.
Yeah, it was strange though to see the start of the game on Saturday against the T-Birds. You trailed 2-0 before the opening tip. And in the first quarter, Southern Utah would carry some of that early momentum to build an 8-2 lead, but your team had 0 turnovers through the first quarter as Michaela Dyer gets the drive and the left-handed layup there. Then Knox going to Smith inside for 2.
Yeah, talk about that 0 turnover thing again. That's great to hear, you know, and that comes with, you know, a little bit of maturity and the game's starting to slow down for the team, and we're moving the basketball well. So we have to continue to build upon that as we go into next week.
It was controlled but there was pace in that first quarter. The teams combined for 43 points over the first 10 minutes, and your team would continue to play well. Dyer hitting the 3 there. She had a game-high 16, and then Fallon Freege a spark off the bench here, knocking down the jumper. Your team trailed, though, 2 at the break. In the second half, you'd continue to trail, but continuing to keep it close. Late in the quarter, Samantha Roscoe with the jumper to give your team the lead, and a lead that your team would never look back after that.
Yeah, you know, the biggest thing we keep talking about with the team is we got to move the basketball. You know, great teams move the basketball. The more people that touch it, the better the flow is. You know, and we're really just we're just starting to figure that out a little bit. Even there, where Leah takes a great shot, it also puts your teammates in great position to get a rebound. So, you know, the matrix right here, the matrix steal. You know, that's it's funny that Kelsey did that because when we were out in Montana, Leah Zala did the same thing on a defensive play, did the matrix slide out and close out. So we have the 2 redheads matrixing up. So it's awesome.
That was a heady play because
yes,
that was you know, in the closing minutes. Southern Utah still had an opportunity to come back, but that steal on that inbounds play seals it. 68-56 the final. Smith, as we mentioned, 12 points, 5 of 7 from the floor. You had a positive assist to turnover ratio for the 3rd time in this game, 15 assists to 10 turnovers. You're 3-0 in those games, and that is such a difference maker for this team.
Well, it's a direct correlation. If you take care of the basketball and you have that positive assist to turnover ratio, you're going to have greater success. And we've talked about it, and we've worked on it and drilled on it. Now we're starting to see how important it is, and they're starting to recognize it a little bit better in ball games.
You held a 27-12 advantage in free throw attempts as well, and your team has been shooting the ball very well at the stripe. That's such a key, too, in these games that are decided by less than 10 points.
Well, I think the biggest thing is with our size and with our strength, we're getting to the free throw line more. We're being a little bit more assertive, and so therefore we get them shoot more free throws. The biggest thing is we've got to make them like they've been doing. We have to continue that throughout the stretch.
You stay home against Northern Colorado this week. Your thoughts on that team as they come into your house for?
Well, it's a big game. You know, we're both 4-4 in the conference. They're playing well right at the moment. They're our top defensive team in the conference, so we're going to have to be ready to go. It's a big game. There's no other way I can put it. We have to be ready, and if we're not, it's going to be tough.
Playing well right now. Winners of 4 of your last 5. Good luck this week, Coach. And a reminder, you can see that game right here on Midco Sports Network Saturday at 7 o'clock as UND takes on Northern Colorado. We're back with head men's basketball coach Brian Jones. His team, too, on a roll these days. That's next.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back. We continue our basketball discussion with head men's basketball coach Brian Jones and your team, Coach, coming off a very successful weekend on the road. The evaluation of your team coming off a couple nice wins.
I thought we played very well defensively. That's where it started for us. We got out defensively and got a lot of easy baskets, but offensively was where we did some amazing things. And it started with really just sharing the ball. Had great balance in both games. But I want to keep emphasizing to our guys and just how the defensive side is what's gotten them to where they're at today. So they got to keep focusing on those things.
Your road swing started at Northern Arizona on Thursday, and your team jumps out to a 12-0 run to start the game. Gino Crandall with the drive and dish for Carson Shanks here, who throws it down. Two-hand slam, your team up 6, and then I don't know what Corey Baldwin has against the Betty, Coach, but when you're on the road, number 1 shows up to play.
He does, and the thing is when he gets out of the gates quickly, he has big nights. And again, you know, making the extra pass, but he made 3 quick threes for us and got us into a good rhythm.
22 points for Baldwin. He's scored over 20 points 3 times this season, all of them on the road, all of them road victories for UND this season. Connor Avance, his development continues to grow, Coach.
He had a great weekend. Him on both sides of the ball. Great team defender, but scoring in double digits both games. But I think all of our freshmen really played well for us on the road.
And Avance showing he's got some outside ability, too, knocking down the 3 here. He had 10 points, 4 of 5 from the floor in 14 minutes for you. Later in the first half, Cortez Seals in transition, getting the hoop and the harm. He had 13 points, 6 of 10 from the floor. Everybody was shooting the ball lights out. Off the steal, Quentin Hooker then coming up with the big dunk as your team builds a 21-point lead at the half.
Yeah, again, you're seeing the defensive side of things, great hands, but we went into the half with a big lead and just knew we had to come out strong in the second half.
And speaking of strong performances from freshmen, Adam McDermott, he's your Kyle Korver, knocking down threes.
He's a silent assassin. He doesn't get a lot of those shots, but when he does, he shoots a really high percentage.
And here, with a hand in his face, he knocks down another triple. He'd come up with another three later on. He had 12 points, all of them from beyond the arc. As your team hangs 100, 101-59 on Northern Arizona. You shoot 61% from the floor, 70% in the second half. You had to be a happy camper after this one.
Yeah, I went in at halftime and said, I'm at the end of the game. I don't know what to tell you guys. You guys played at such a high level, but be humble about it. Don't boast about it. Remember how it feels, but we did it on the defensive end and we shared it on the offensive end, and that's why 101 points, that's a lot, and especially on the road. But again, it was a lot of guys really stepping up and playing well.
It's always preached you don't want to get too low with the losses. You don't want to get too high with the wins. And that's something maybe you were concerned about going into Saturday at Southern Utah as we go to those highlights. And your team would not disappoint. Starting off strong in the early going, Connor Avance, a little old school here with the right hook, gets it to go in the lane.
Yeah, he's continued to develop that and finding his niche down low and out on the floor as well.
Cortez Seals then going to go between two defenders here for the strong lay-in, capping an 11-0 run early on in this game. Then Gino Crandall, he can drive and make some very difficult shots look easy.
Yeah, you can. Again, you're seeing three clips right there, three freshmen. That's what's exciting about this group. But as you're seeing here, defense is getting us out and getting easy baskets, making the extra pass, another freshman. So you've touched all four of them in our first four clips. That's why we're so excited about where we're going.
McDermott, you give him any space outside of the arc, he's going to knock down the three.
Yeah, that was a huge run right there. We got it going on that, and that got us some separation the last play of the half, attacking the rim by Q and going into the half, really playing really well.
Your team up 22 at the break in the second half. Drick Bernstein makes an appearance here. He had a solid weekend for you as well. He had his second double-double of this road sweep.
Yeah, played well. Played within himself. Again, he's a guy that probably a lot of people forget about because of his unselfishness. Again, great ball movement right there, extra pass, inside out, stepping up, making a 10 toes, a horse shot there for us.
This play right here is a sign of when things are rolling for your team. The one-handed no-look bounce pass to Shanks, and he puts it up and in as your team continues to roll. And quite a day it was for Hooker as well, tying a career-high 28 points.
Super efficient over the weekend. And especially on that, was he 11-11 from the line? Gino Crandall was 7 of 7, so our 2 point guards shooting a foul shot at a high level. But yeah, the second half played well, not as well as the first. I thought we got a little sloppy with the ball, but still being able to go on the road and get a double-digit win against a team who I feel who's still, they're pretty talented offensively. We had to guard, and I'm proud of our effort.
Second straight game, your team shoots better than 50% from the floor as you win this one, 88-72, and free throws, 27 of 30 in this game. That's a huge step for this team.
It is. As I said, we've worked on them enough. It's finally good that we're getting seeing the dividends pay off, because they want to succeed. We've gotten a lot of extra work on the foul shooting, but you still got to go into games where we saw in Idaho and India shoot some games that we've fallen short because of that. Now they've gotten some success for them, so it's good.
Where do you see this team needing to improve as you go into this week's game against Northern Colorado?
Well, I always want to continue to improve handling the basketball, post presence, as we've talked about before, and I think we can always get better defensively. But it's just continue our guys staying humble, staying hungry, understanding the day-to-day work it takes to be successful on game day. So just embracing that, enjoying it, but staying the course with what we're doing.
All right. Good luck with your game this week on Saturday. Back on the road in Greeley as Coach Jones will recap that game next week here on the show. We're back with more right on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
He came all the way from the deep south to North Dakota to play baseball here at UND, and after a relatively successful career, Jeff Campbell is now beginning his journey of becoming a big league ball player. And as thoughts of warmer times ahead turn to spring training for those involved, Marty Mueller profiles Campbell's path to the big show.
As Campbell sends a liner towards left. Another money ball home run, and it is 20 for Jeff Campbell, a new first-round record.
1,919 miles. That's the distance from Clearwater, Florida to Grand Forks, North Dakota. A number that probably only crosses the mind of students searching for a spring break hiatus. But when your dream is to play a Division I sport, sometimes you have to keep an open mind.
I had my summer ball coach, he's like, "Oh, I have a school for you." He goes, "Where are you willing to go?" I go, "I'll go anywhere in the country, anywhere you want me to go."
That anywhere came with just one request.
I wanted to hit and pitch, so he calls Dotson up in North Dakota, and within a night of a couple videos, I had a scholarship, and I came up in the next month. When I got here, I saw the facility, saw how many recruits we had coming in that year, and Dotson was talking about all the teams, like big schools we play, and it was a no-brainer. I committed on my visit, and it was interesting at first because it did snow, and I guess Dotson was a little scared on the visit, but it turned out to work for the best.
With scholarship, snow boots, and batting gloves in hand, Jeff headed to frozen North Dakota, where his dual threat status could really flourish.
That's just what I've always done. I've hit. I mean, I was a pitcher, but that's just because I always threw harder than most of the guys. So I never really worked on pitching. I worked on hitting my whole life. I grew up since I was 10 working with a former major leaguer, Reggie Williams, who got me up here. And ever since then, I mean, I've loved hitting. So it's just one thing that has always come, not easy to me, but I've worked for it.
That lifelong dedication would pay dividends. In 4 years at UND, Jeff would tally 32 home runs, 11 in his senior year alone, propelling him to the college slugger's biggest stage.
I was actually on the golf course. Get a call from an unknown number, didn't have Witness's number in my phone, and sure enough, he goes, "I have some good news coming to you." And he hung up the phone, he goes, just wait. And I go, "Okay." And he calls me again, and he goes, you got in the home run derby. And I was just in shock. I mean, I couldn't even explain the feeling I had.
What happened next only happens in sports. After a record-setting 20 homers in the first round, Jeff would add 10 more to pace the field and take home the hardware.
I clearly wasn't the favorite in the after batting practice, but I think it just, I mean, I said everyone else, coaches to players, knew I could win it. So it just helped having that belief.
After a night he'll never forget, Jeff admits he didn't know what came next until his phone rang once again. This time it was the Atlanta Braves, a team that passed over him in a tryout a few weeks prior, was now offering him his first pro contract.
And I couldn't ask for much more. I was only there for, I think, 50 games or something like that. I only played in 18 or 20. But being at the field every day, knowing you're getting paid to play a game, it's just a great feeling. It makes you want to go to the field every day.
A caveat for Campbell is he will continue to play both first base and pitcher within the Braves organization. He'll report to spring training soon with the Danville Braves of the Appalachian League. Well, don't go anywhere. There's still more to come here on UND Sports Extra.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
The UND women's hockey team was back on the road this past weekend at number 2 Wisconsin, hoping for similar results that they had against the Badgers in mid-December when they won 3-0 and tied 0-0. In Madison this past weekend in the series opener on Saturday, Wisconsin would hang on for the 1-0 victory. Erica Sauchuk scored 3.5 minutes into the first period. Her goal was the difference. Shelby Amsley-Benzie made 31 saves in the loss. On Sunday, UND falls 3-1 to the Badgers, but it would take a late empty net goal to extend the difference. Becca Kohler scored her 10th goal of the season to tie the game up at 1 early in the third, but it wasn't enough. Amsley-Benzie had another 31-save performance on the day. UND is home against Minnesota State on Friday and Saturday this week. Records continue to fall for the track and field teams this indoor season at the Jim Emmerich Invitational at South Dakota State this past Saturday. On the women's side, senior Molly Dreep set a school indoor shot put record with a throw of 60 feet 8 inches. Ashley Roan, Paige Slemons, Heather Harrower, and Tiana McKinney set a school record in the 4x400. They're now tops in the Big Sky by more than 8 seconds. and they were named the Co-Big Sky Athletes of the Week for their performance, and sophomore Natasha Brown tied her school record in the 60-meter dash. On the men's side, sophomore Michael Quesenberry took the Big Sky lead in shot put with a throw of 55 feet 9 inches. That's the 4th best throw in UND history. We're back with more right after this.
UND Sports Extra on Midco Sports Network is presented by the University of North Dakota, RideLCars.com, and Farmers Union Insurance.
We've got you covered for UND Athletics on Saturday. We've got women's basketball on Midco Sports Network at 7 o'clock against Northern Colorado. And we'll have the men's hockey game on Midco Sports Network 2 on Saturday night as they battle Western Michigan. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for North Dakota Hockey with Bradbury next.